Some questions are just so big, so fundamental, they've been echoing through the centuries. And it turns out a small group of thinkers actually took it upon themselves to answer the biggest one of all. In the process, they pretty much forged the foundations of Western thought. So, today let's dive into their great philosophical missions.
And really, it all boils down to this. It's a question every single one of us asks, in our own way. What's the right thing to do? What's my purpose here? I mean, for literally thousands of years, this has been the central puzzle of being human. So there's a formal name for the study of this question. It's called ethics. And look, pretty much every society has had its own moral codes and traditions, right? But it took one guy, one man in ancient Greece to turn all this thinking into a real, rigorous discipline. And his mission? Well, it was going to change everything.
And that man was Socrates. Now picture this, it's 5th century Athens. The city is just buzzing with new ideas, this incredible democratic energy. And right in the middle of it all, Socrates kicks off a mission that was honestly as simple as it was radical. His goal? To challenge what everyone thought they knew.
So he started his whole quest with this one single phrase, know thyself. And for Socrates, believe me, this was not just some catchy slogan. No, it was the absolute starting point for all knowledge. He was basically arguing, how can you possibly have any real understanding of the world, or justice, or goodness, if you don't even understand yourself first?
Okay, so to really get what Socrates was doing, you gotta understand the world he was pushing back against. At the time, the intellectual scene in Athens was totally dominated by these guys called the Sophists. They were super charismatic teachers who, for a pretty penny, would teach you the art of rhetoric, basically how to win any argument. For them, truth was, relative. What really mattered was being persuasive. But Socrates? He saw this as a huge problem, a dangerous illusion, just a tool for grabbing power without caring one bit about what was actually true.
So what did he do? He developed this incredible method to just dismantle all that false confidence, and honestly, it's the foundation of modern critical thinking. It all started with what we call irony. Socrates would walk up to some so-called expert, pretend he knew nothing, and just start asking really simple questions. And bit by bit, he'd lead them into this web of their own contradictions, until they finally had to admit, okay, maybe I don't really know what I'm talking about. And only then could the real work start. That's the second part, maietics. It's a Greek word that means something like midwifery. See, Socrates believed the truth was already inside you, and his job was just to help you give birth to your own real, genuine ideas.
Now here's a wild fact. Socrates never wrote a single thing down. Everything we know about him, we know from his students. The most famous one, of course, was Plato. And Plato, he took his teacher's mission and built this massive philosophical system around it. But then, Plato's own star student, a guy named Aristotle, came along and challenged that whole system, sending philosophy down a completely different path.
And this right here, this is one of the most pivotal moments in the history of ideas. You got this major split between a teacher and his student, all based on a really fundamental disagreement about where you should even begin to look for the truth.
And this really gets to the heart of their disagreement. So on one side, you have Plato. He was the idealist. He argued that this physical world we see and touch, it's just a shadow, right? An imperfect copy of a higher, perfect reality he called the world of forms. So for Plato, real knowledge was about grasping these perfect ideas, like the perfect form of justice or beauty. But then you have Aristotle. He was the realist. His mission was totally different. He wanted to find truth right here in the messy, tangible, physical world. He believed if you just observe, categorize, and analyze everything around us, that's how you understand how things really work.
And this really practical, hands-on approach carried right over into his ethics. For Aristotle, virtues basically came in two flavors. First, you have the ethical virtues, things like courage or justice. And these aren't things you just learn from a book. Nope, you become courageous by doing courageous things over and over through habit and practice. I mean, that's an idea you hear in basically every self-help book today, right? Then you've got the Dianetic or intellectual virtues, like wisdom. Those you do get through study and reason. And for Aristotle, the good life wasn't one or the other. It was a blend of both. You needed right action and right thinking. Okay, so for centuries, this whole debate, Plato's idealism versus Aristotle's realism, that was philosophy, pretty much. But then, as the Roman Empire started to change, a completely new intellectual force came onto the scene, Christianity. And one thinker, a man named Augustine of Hippo, took on this massive mission of trying to fuse Greek philosophy with this new faith.
Augustine's own life was a philosophical journey in itself. At first, he was really into this thing called Manichaeanism, which saw the whole universe as a big cosmic battle between a good god and an evil one. But eventually, that didn't quite work for him, and he discovered Neoplatonism, which was kind of a later spin on Plato's ideas. This is where he got the idea of a single, supreme, perfect God, and that was the intellectual bridge he needed to finally embrace Christianity. From then on, his life's mission was set. He was going to use all the tools of philosophy to understand and defend his faith.
In this quote, this gets to the absolute heart of what Augustine was trying to do. See, before him, a lot of people saw faith and reason as totally separate things, maybe even enemies. But Augustine, he argued they were inseparable. He basically said, look, you need reason to truly understand your faith, and you need faith to give your reason a solid foundation. It's like they're two wings on a bird. You need both of them to get anywhere close to the truth. So what Augustine does is he takes that original Greek quest for the good life, what they called eudaimonia, and he just points it in a new direction. He absolutely keeps that Socratic idea of know thyself, but he argues that when you look deep, deep inside your own soul, what you're ultimately going to find is God. The whole mission changes. It's not just about being a good citizen anymore. It's about achieving this profound spiritual connection with the source of everything.
So when you step back and look at the whole arc here, from Socrates questioning people in the town square to Augustine's deep inner reflection, you realize these missions weren't just, abstract mental games. They literally created the essential framework, the big core debates that have shaped Western civilization for 2,000 years. What they left us with is this powerful, ongoing, and totally unfinished conversation, right? Is truth something out there in some perfect realm, or is it something we find right here by looking at the world? Are faith and reason partners, or are they enemies? Is being a good person about building habits, or is it about pure intellect? The really important thing to get here is that these aren't just dusty old historical questions. They are our questions, right now. Ultimately, the incredible missions of these thinkers gave us the language, the very concepts we use to even think about these huge questions. Now, they don't give us any easy answers, not at all, but what they do give us are the tools to keep searching for ourselves. The conversation is still very much open.